I'm Alicia Puig, and you're listening to the Truth in This Art podcast with Rob Lee.
Welcome to the Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today I have the privilege of being in conversation with a Baltimore-based, I'm going to say that in inverted commas, Baltimore-based multi-artist, currently living in Tokyo, Japan, self-expressing through music, photography, video, poetry, traditional and digital art, and a little bit of some bedroom dancing. Please welcome Anna Cugle. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for popping on. I'm quasi like envious that you're in the place where I want to be at. So, shout out to you on that.
Yes, they're open for tourists now, though. Finally, after years. So now's your chance.
So yeah, make space for huge, like black. Never mind. So with that, I want to open it up with something that some people have a challenge in talking about, and some people are like, "Oh, I love talking about myself." So could you share your story and ultimately, include where you grew up and what prompted the move from Baltimore to Tokyo? Let's talk about that.
All right, absolutely. So I grew up in Baltimore County. Let's see. I grew up in Baltimore County, and I've always been into everything I've always been into since I was a child. So I loved music, anime, photography, drawing, art in general, my entire life throughout my childhood. And I got into working as a photographer for quite some time in Baltimore, and I really enjoyed it, but the workload was a lot for me, and that kind of prompted my move to Japan for right now. I never got to meet my dad's side of the family, so I am part Japanese, so I kind of wanted to explore some of my culture. So in order to take a break from work and life, I sort of just made the decision a couple years back to save up and kind of just come here for at least a year and just get away from everything I knew and kind of just start over and see where this takes me. Have a nice break, not a week or two of vacation here or there. I needed a complete reset, and I felt like this was the thing that I really wanted to do. So I did that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and making that real commitment to going to a place. Like on occasion, I think about leaving Baltimore and seeing, in a true sense, not like you said, not a week, not an extended staycation, but really committing to this is what my normal is going to be for a year. So, I would imagine that there are certain changes and differences, having the interest, and I would imagine before going there. But what were some of the changes or differences, the biggest differences that you experienced going there? I would imagine, maybe language. I'm not sure, but tell me about that.
Definitely language. There is a language barrier, but I am learning the language, so I can kind of communicate a little bit. It's a huge change. I feel like a lot of people have these big dreams to do stuff like this, and then they don't do it because it takes a lot of effort and kind of facing fears. And you're stepping into something that you have no idea what's going to happen, as you're going. So coming here and not really knowing anyone, I had one friend that was here that ended up leaving very early on after I got here. So being alone is probably the biggest thing I've faced that is very different being here and being okay being alone. Having your own space, doing your day-to-day things and not having anybody that's very close to you and still feeling safe, just being in your own company. And that was one of the biggest things I really wanted to work on while I was here. Because, back in Baltimore, I had all of my friends, I had all of my family, I could lean on anyone. I could, continuously be around and talk to everyone. So coming here was more of finding myself, being with myself, and kind of being able to trust myself. Yeah, and the language barrier really, really helped with that as well. So it's very alienating, but I mentally prepared for this to be like that.
Right.
But I love it here. It's great. And, you know, once you do catch on to the language, it helps a lot. And there are also a lot of very great foreigners here.
Yeah.
A lot of great artists, of course, in Tokyo, you know, there's a great art and music scene for sure. So that is very comforting to be meeting a lot of other artists as well.
I would imagine kind of getting used to all of the robots walking around. It's a thing as well.
Oh yeah.
So as an artist that is in multiple disciplines, right? You know, expressing through, you know, music, photography, video, digital art, what feelings ultimately are you trying to express in a given medium?
I love this question. I really love this question. I am trying to express everything. I feel like all of my work is just introspect. So it's a constant cycle of existence. Like I'm just trying to express like my personal existence and putting it into forms of art and hoping that it makes people feel what I was feeling in those moments, regardless of the emotions I'm trying to pull out. And I think it's very important to accept and like, yeah, to accept all of the emotions that you can feel as a person because, you know, they're all very important. So definitely, yeah, it's very introspective. But I definitely just trying to convey that living is very vast.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing where people's like, oh yeah, well, I want to talk about being in love. It's like that's cool, but I also want to talk about like days that like kind of suck, or you know, it makes it relatable and it makes it something that's accessible as well. Because you know, I joke on occasion, never had a bad day, no bad days, no losses, never lost, and it's like no, there are some times where it sucked. Yeah,
exactly, for sure. It's definitely about it's being vulnerable. It's being extremely vulnerable in the sense of like there are emotions that make people very uncomfortable, but they are normal and it is okay to have them. And I really want to be able to connect through that with people so people can understand that, you know, it's just a part of your experience and it's totally fine to have bad days. It's good to have bad days because you can't have good days without them.
So who are, and I think you touched on this a little bit about some of those kind of like early loves in terms of remember animation, well, anime popping out and things of that sort. But who or what are some of those influences for you?
I guess the longest obsession I have is Pokemon.
Nice.
I don't think I'll ever not love Pokemon. That's my number one. I honestly pulled inspiration from everything around me. I think when I was younger, I was just really enjoying life. And I know a lot of people throughout growing up kind of struggle with self-identity and kind of being judged. I didn't have that as much when I was younger. Like I definitely got picked on and stuff, but I didn't really understand judgment. And within that kind of let me be a little bit fearless for a while. So I really didn't put myself in a box and I pulled inspiration from everything. Absolutely anything and everything. I never really hated anything. I kind of just saw everything for what it was. And I think that's a really good view, especially as you get older and you are shoved in boxes to kind of get back to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine I used to, you know, because we all have that different experience of people trying to bully us or whatever. And I feel like now I'm a bigger person, but people still try to like bully me. I was always like the big kid in class, and I would be looked at as like, oh, that's the prize buck to take down. Like if I could bully him, then I've done something. But I was just like uninterested in being bullied. I was like, this is what you're trying? This is what you're, oh man, really? That's what you want to do now?
I didn't understand it personally. I was just like, what are you okay? Because yeah, I was just a weird little kid. I was like obsessed with bugs. I loved playing outside. Like I loved what I loved, and it never really dawned on me that people like were picking on me in the first place. So I guess that was a really good good thing, but like in retrospect, I'm like looking back and I'm like, oh, they were picking on me. Like, oh, okay.
So for you, what was your first love? Like, for me, this wasn't the thing initially, like podcasting. I kind of came to this when I was, in those sort of formative years. I was maybe 14, maybe 13 or 14 when I first started like recording conversations or what have you. I wanted to be an illustrator. That was like that first love for me, illustration. So what was that first love for you?
Music. Hands down music. I really didn't understand art when I was younger. I just liked what I liked. And my mom would always be like, oh, they're an artist. And I didn't understand that term because I was just like, I just like doing what I like. But overall, my number one is absolutely music. It's the one thing I feel like I can fully express and really just be 100% myself in.
So in working in multiple mediums, does one medium maybe serve another one? How do they kind of work, and how do they marry together, if at all? Like I always look at it like this. Like, I'm of two minds. Like, I do, data. I'm a data analyst in my day job, and somehow that that knowledge and data helps me maybe come up with how I'm going to approach strategically my work. And working as a facilitator, if you will, of storytelling, I can actually storytell the data, maybe put it in a way that's digestible. So, in where your interests lie, how did they kind of align and maybe serve each other?
I guess as far as visual arts, the photography and like the drawing and the digital art kind of overlap because it's all a visual process, and that does help me with creation. And then I guess the biggest thing is that I really enjoy jumping between my mediums because I use them differently. Music is a very emotional thing for me. Mm-hmm. Photography is I get my body up and out and moving and going somewhere and like exploring, and that's very important to me. And then sitting down and drawing and doing digital art, that can either be something that is very passive and simple, or I'm also doing emotional work through drawing. And then of course poetry, I'm sorting out my mind. So it's just depending on how I want to be expressing it and like how I'm feeling.
Got you. That's good. I like to see how those things kind of work together, where it's like, oh, when someone has a fully realized vision, it's like, yeah, I have some, background in digital art or what have you, which gives me an eye for my album cover, or maybe how I want a video shot or what have you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. They all go hand in hand. And I'm always somehow overlapping them in some type of way and trying to use them all to my advantage for each other.
So I read this quote about comparison kills creativity. That sounds like a rap line. Do you agree with that? And if so, how do you combat it? And what sort of behaviors come to mind when that impact or kill creativity?
Oh man. Okay. Yes. 100%. That is such a huge thing that I've fallen into that I haven't experienced for a very long time, but now I do experience because of social media. When you're following a ton of other artists and, they're pumping out a bunch of like work, that's terrifying.
Yeah. You
feel like you have to catch up to something, and I think the biggest thing to reel it back is to remember why you're creating in the first place. And that's it. Why are you creating? There's no timeline for you to be doing something. And I get caught in feeling like I need to work very quickly and have a lot of turnaround instead of enjoying the process. And enjoying the process is the most important part. So I definitely try to stay off of social media when I'm feeling like a little too sped up, like feeling like I need to be on a timeline.
And do you feel that? And I agree with that, by the way, like mm-hmm. a lot, because I think I don't know how much it's talked about, but my belief is this, that we're creatively, and I'm putting the lowercase and almost a dotted line when I include myself in the we, but there's expectation that the users on social media are putting out that content. And for people who are creators, there's a devaluation of what you're creating. So if you look at Instagram, right, it was a photo sharing site, and now they don't care about photos. So you got to do video. And it's like, you could fall into that trap of my work isn't as valid, or I need to pump this stuff out. And it has nothing to do with your peers or even how you value it. It's by some algorithm made by some faceless person who may not know anything about art or anything about creativity, but to market yourself in a way or to have people aware of your work in some regards, it is necessity.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing I struggle with. I am terrible at maintaining social media for my crafts because, I do a lot of different things. I'm not putting all of my efforts into one specific thing, and I don't want to give that up. I don't want to make a social media page where I am only portraying my wins and like a product. I'm not a product. I'm a human, and I want to stick to that. I think that's my biggest goal within being an artist. I don't want to be a niche artist. I really don't. I just want to be able to be outside of the box and, be confident with that and stick with that. I don't really want to narrow myself into just one thing. Yeah.
And I think people are around us, like when you hear someone who, the people that come to mind are, he's super deprecated, nearly canceled or completely canceled. But I think of, Kanye West to a degree, but I really start looking at like another person that's canceled, I guess, James Franco a little bit, but, Donald Glover. There are multiple things that these people are interested in that, and it definitely has a sort of like artistic lens to it that I want to be able to do this and now have the resources to do it and make this idea actionable, whether it is I want to direct or I want to make a music video or I want to do clothing or shoes and so on and so forth. And people, they like people who are polymaths, but they want to see you kind of work hard for it and see you kind of fail versus, yeah, sure, you should be able to do that. And I think it's this sort of push that I think if we can tap back into what it was or what it felt like to be a kid, to not really like have those restrictions that are baked in, it feels really good. It feels really good. It's like, I'm just doing my thing. And, whatever one is pursuing, like I told people on this podcast at times that I'm just looking for friends, and if that is what it is, and I'm able to do that through having conversations through this medium, then I'm not trying to do anything. That's the thing that guides me. It brings me back. It's like, am I interested in talking to this person about their work and about what goes into their work? That makes it work. That's a lot of work.
I agree with that so much. Yeah, it's so difficult because people, the way society is now and the way media is portrayed is that everything is so digestible and so quick, and it's hard to digest somebody that is being someone and not something. Yeah. So I'm in the same boat with you. I'm just trying to have good connections, have good people, and just like have a good time, and just live and learn and not feel stressed about needing to be some type of product.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would look back at why I got started with it, and I always trying to like find things that are more similar versus things that are different. And, look at why I got started in podcasting overall, and I coming up on 14 years of doing it, where I thought like, I had these weird news stories. That was where I started. And I was like, this is interesting. Let me share that with someone. And it's now kind of morphed into this podcast where it's like, I think this person is interesting. How can I help them share their story? I think that these people are doing interesting things. How can we position what they're doing in a way that people can become more aware of it? Not making it digestible, not saying, oh yeah, well, here's a clip of a hot take that this person had. Who cares? Hannah Cugle said this. Oh, I don't know if I'm looking for that, but I think this is a way to get past, in some instances, maybe a way to get past that shyness that, if I met you like at at a bar, at a place having a nice soda pop, Shirley Temple or something, I wouldn't be able to talk to you. But doing it with the glass in front of me is this glass of protection. This is my anti-kryptonite, if you will.
For sure. Absolutely. No, I totally agree. I feel like this is a beautiful thing. And I feel like I would want to do something like this, like, because you're connecting with people, you're getting to know people and in the way that you should, and being genuine, for sure.
And I've tried to, even with it, try to add this dynamic, which is why I have the rapid fire questions of, yeah, we could talk about your work, but I want to go a little bit a deeper level in who's the person? What's the person into? You like peanut butter? You like chocolate? What you into? and really being able to add that extra thing. And it was an intentional effort not to present the person as a commodity, as a thing, but to show them as a person. Outside of your art, what are some of your interests? And how do you like spending your so much of your spare time? You have so much, I would imagine.
Oh man, my art is my interest, but I actually am in language school, so I do school Monday through Friday, and it takes up a lot more time than I thought it would, and it's very stressful, but I do enjoy it. But outside of that, I really enjoy traveling. I really enjoy nature and hiking. Unplugging from society is very, very important to me. It really is. Going out, going hiking, no social media, just being one with the forest. Really just decompressing and grounding and remembering that, you're living and you're in your moments. And I really enjoy playing sports. Physical activity is as important as mental. And just hanging out, going to shows, a little bit of video games here and there. Really just a lot of decompressing things, since the arts can get overwhelming sometimes. It's usually stuff that is more relaxing.
Yeah. What sports are you playing?
Soccer, basketball. I will literally play anything though, but those are usually my top two. A little bit of frisbee, or throw a football here and there, but yeah.
I mean, I feel like I would want to go there and hang out with the salarymen just to feel like my day is easier. It's like, oh, you guys are losing it. This is great. Pass the Sapporo, brother. You got any tempura over there? Thanks.
Yeah, it's great. And then they get on the train and they fall asleep on your shoulder. They just pass out.
I mean, that's sport for me right there. I'm salary man watching. Don't bother me. I'm having a great time.
Oh my gosh, no.
So let's tap back in a little bit on a project. Let's say, something that you're currently working on, right? Because I think that's what we're currently working on is the most fresh thing, right? So when you came to this realization that you wanted to work on this project, whatever it is, whether it's I'm working on a song, whether it is I'm doing some series of photography, what have you, what is the first thing that you do, something that's in the middle and something towards the end that you feel like, all right, this is solid. I've done my duty here.
This is the most stressful question.
I'm sorry.
Outside of my crafts, I am very, very organized. Within my crafts, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. When it comes to music, since that is more of an emotional expression, when I'm feeling something, I simply do it. When I'm hearing a melody in my head, when I am feeling a beat, when I am just freestyling lyrics, I will grab my phone, I will record it, or if I'm on my laptop, I will open up my program and I will record it, and then I will go from there and I will let that flow as much as it can. That is always kind of like a state of mind thing. And then as far as photography, I really enjoy just going out and shooting, but I also do like setting up shoots and setting up lights and kind of giving it a very specific feel, depending on what I'm shooting. So photography, if I'm working with somebody else, I definitely have like we do this and then we do this and then, we do this. Music, I will go at it from any angle, absolutely any angle. And then as far as drawing, that is also just like I feel like drawing, I'm going to draw something. If it turns into a sketch, it's a sketch. If I want to make it into a full piece, then I start planning a full piece. I don't really go into something having expectations, because I feel like that kind of ruins the creative energy into a process.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like I need to have a finished product. I want it to happen over time.
Yeah.
And then when I need to polish something, it's because it already exists. So then I take it and then, kind of go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think riding off of that is something that I've done more of, and I feel more comfortable in it. And sometimes if I'm being honest, I'll look at like, all right, I want to do this interview. And sometimes it's very rare, but sometimes if we're being honest, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling it. And either if it's multiple interviews, I don't want it to carry over. So I'm like, all right, if it's one, all right, I can get it up. That sounds weird, but I can get it up and make it happen. But and if it's like 3 or 4 interviews and I'm already starting off that first one with a little meh on it, nah, it's time to let it go. And in other instances, I'll get up and I'm like, this is an idea that really excites me, doing this sort of batch of interviews and doing it in this way. And I'm just going for it. And I find, like, as a person who's an ideator, that if I'm like, let me talk to somebody and share this with them, and then they just kind of piss it away. It's like, hey, let's just freestyle it. We're just freestyling, man. Let's just bounce ideas. I'm like, don't kill it. Don't waste it, And that's the thing that I find, and kind of one of the things you mentioned that kind of stuck out was like, just kind of like riding it. You have that idea. It's like, I want to see it to fruition. I want to see it. Like, I've been on this recently. I'll have an idea and I know it's a good idea, and I'll just tell it to somebody else. And it's like, you do it. I just want it to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I never thought about doing that. Maybe yeah.
Because it's,
like when I get overwhelmed, I'm just gonna be like, hey, I really want this to be done, but you got to do it.
It's because I'm old. I'm like, I need some young soldier to do it. I'm like, done. I'm like, oh, it's over here. I got soft spots. I'm not going to finish that. So here's the last question I got for you before I get to those rapid fire questions that everyone loves so much. And I've added some, updated some for you based on the conversation so far. Yeah, be afraid. Be very afraid, to quote the fly. So what would be that piece of advice for you that has served you, and you feel that may serve an artist or a person listening that is in that similar like bucket or similar sort of spot, or have like a similar experience that you have, where you're just creating, you're just making it happen, and you're creating based off what you may feel at a certain point? What's a piece of advice that you have that you would want to share to the listeners?
Oh my gosh. The pressure in this.
No such thing as pressure. It's all good.
Just do it, Nike.
Nice.
But seriously, it's this is so hard. I don't know why this question is so hard. Wow. Yeah, prior to this, I jokingly typed down, we all die, just be nice. But yeah, life is very short, and I think it's worth it to be present within yourself and try your best to be mindful and present throughout, and make sure you're doing things the way you want to be doing them, and be a good person, be compassionate, be nice, and make space. Everybody's living life and going through experiences, and keeping that in mind, I think it's a lot easier to connect and have more purpose, because everyone is different, and that is okay. And that's what makes everything beautiful. Yeah.
10 on 10. That's well said. Well said. Give yourself a pat on the back for that. Well said on you.
Thank you. I didn't know what was going to come out of my mouth the entire time, but
yeah, people don't do it at times. I've had 2 or 3 nasty grams this week about rescheduling episodes, and I was just like, look, I appreciate your time, and it's not a matter of me standing someone up. It's like, stuff happens. We're
Oh,
still
yeah.
in a pandemic, and it's like, oh, well, you can't get sick. And it's like, all right, you can take your 2,000 followers elsewhere. I don't know if I need to talk to you.
Communication. No,
Yeah,
communication is key. And if somebody's not willing to be open to your communication, that's not really on you at that point. You can have a conversation about it, but coming to a conclusion instead of talking at each other, and instead of with each other, that's kind of where it parts.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's like, look, we're here to have fun. We're here to have a cool conversation. Like, I used to talk to people, and part of it is me getting, I guess, more seasoned at doing this. And it's like, nothing's to worry about here. I'm not going to ask anybody anything that's like, yeah, so when you did this one painting, it was stupid. Tell me why. I'm not going to ask someone something like that. I'm just going to it's a pretty neutral conversation, but really I'm curious. That's literally what it is. And, and part of that is you want people to feel good about what they do. And
Absolutely.
it's a curatorial sort of component to it where I'm not going to talk to someone I don't find at least surface level interesting. It's like, yeah, what you into again? What you do again? And they can kind of go from there. So I don't know. But with that, I want to go into these rapid fire questions. I've changed all of the ones since we've been talking because I now have more details. You're a cagey one. You're a very cagey individual. So I want to start off with, I'm going to save the Pokemon question for last. Hint, there is a Pokemon question.
Oh, no. Oh.
So I'm going to start it like this. So because the first time we tried to do this, you said, is Cugle like Google? So I'm going to ask you this question. Have you Googled yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Who doesn't Google themselves? Yeah.
I Google other people. I don't really Google myself. I'm nobody. I just kind of Google other people. Yeah.
I got a little curious. But
yeah. Are you more cautious or bold on that spectrum? Which one do you lean toward?
Oh, no. Oh God, both. No, it's both. I'm very contradicting. Yeah, it's both.
Okay. Now it's about to get very Japanese oriented. Favorite Japanese snack?
Oh, no. Oh, God.
I know.
Oh, no. Currently, right now, since I'm so bad at this, specifically right now, wasabi chips. They're called Chip Star. It's kind of like Pringles alternative, but like I just really like spicy. So
okay, you sold on the ticket. Whatever that shipping rate is, we might have to talk about that. Now this is another one that's going to be challenging because I know favorites. I noticed each was like, so what's this? You're like, ugh. Favorite movie?
Oh, Tekken Concrete.
Okay.
Have you? Yeah.
I haven't, but you're giving me something to check into. You give me homework.
Yes, really good.
What's a Japanese phrase that you overuse? Because you said you're learning the language and all.
Oh God, it's usually just hi and sumimasen.
What does that mean?
Yes, and excuse me, or like I'm sorry.
Okay. I just say roboto a lot. I just try to,
No more if I want to say roboto.
Well, my name is close to it though. I was like, yo, where Kirin Sapporo? Ichiban #1. It was like, yeah, all right, you didn't get past 101, did you? Not even 01. All right, now it's time for the Pokemon question.
Oh boy.
Okay. So you got 3 Pokemon. What are they?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
I came here for a good time, not a stressful time.
Then I'm not saying they had to be your only, but you're okay. Okay.
That's still implying like a top 3.
No, okay. This is true. But you can't pick all of them though.
God.
I know.
Oh.
Okay. I'll make it easier for you. What is your astrological sign? And I'll break the Pokemon question in that way.
Virgo.
That's like Earth sign or something, right?
Yeah.
All right, 3 rock Pokemon. Yeah.
Rock?
Yeah.
Rock?
Yeah.
No.
Come on.
No. That's like the one type I don't want to pick.
Okay. I'm a water sign. I'm an Aquarius, right? So, or air sign rather. So, but water's part of it. 3 Pokemon that are not rock Pokemon.
Oh my God, I can't. All right, hold up. Let's reel it back. I'm reeling it back to just 3 Pokemon. So I'm gonna go with Raichu. I love my Alakazam. I'm sticking to the originals right now to make it easier for myself.
Appreciate you.
Oh God.
Oh, man.
No, I love them all. I really do. All right, let's see. Raichu, Alakazam, and oh my God.
Geodude.
No, the reason why I don't want to answer this because now I feel like I'm going to be judged, and I'm going to be judged in a way where people don't know me, and this is a big topic for me. And it's like it's me, but it's like also not me.
It's you at the moment.
At the moment, yes. Yeah. On the spot.
It's like the wasabi chips. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we'll throw Gengar in there. We'll do those 3. Those are a solid 3 to me personally.
Can't believe you picked Raichu. Oh my gosh, it's just I was expecting so much better from you.
Oh.
It's great trolling. Now I have to find. I have like some of the original cards because like I think it like first came over in the US when I was like maybe a teenager. So it's just like I have like one of the books with the cards in there. It's like a yellow book. Pikachu is on there, and I'm like, let's get it. Let's go.
I have everything Pokemon I've ever owned still.
Nice. So with that, I didn't think we would have so much like hot Pokemon talk here. So with that, I want to thank you for being on this podcast. This has been it's been a treat, and I want to invite and encourage you to share with the listeners where they can check you out, where they can find you on social media, despite you not using it regularly. But where can they check you out?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am mainly just on Instagram right now. My handle is Earth Kodama. It's just my personal Instagram. I eventually, want to make a music one, but we'll see about that. But that is pretty much the only thing I'm on. And I do have one song and a little album on streaming platforms under the name Hannah K. And the one single I do have out is called Lazuli. So Hannah K. Lazuli.
Well, there you have it, folks. I want to again thank Hannah Cugle for coming onto the podcast, spending a yarn with your boy Rob Lee. And I am Rob Lee saying that Baltimore is even in Japan. Baltimore's in Japan. But art, creatives, and just cool people are in and around your neck of the woods. You just got to look for them.